Retro World Expo 2018 is this weekend at the Connecticut Convention Center. That's September 8th and 9th. I'm going to be at the show doing a lot of things behind the scenes. I've been doing social media for the show for the last couple of years. And one of the things that I'm excited about with this year's show is we have two very special visitors. We're focusing a lot on Midway games this year. We not only have actors from the Mortal Kombat series coming to the show this year with Daniel Pesina and Rich DeVizio and Anthony Marquez, but Sal DeVita is coming to the show this year. Sal has had a developmental hand in a lot of Midway's games in the 1990s. And also Tim Kitzrow. Now, if you know me at all, you know that sports game presentation is a big deal with me, especially sports game commentary. And we're talking about just loud, emotional, in-your-face commentary. Tim is the master of this. And this really started, he really blew up with the release of NBA Jam in arcades 25 years ago. This is the Sega Genesis version here, my favorite of the home console versions of Jam. This is the game that I walked out in a snowstorm from where I was living to the local mall to pick it up because the roads were bad. Then I walked all the way back home. My feet were frozen. I was all wet. I was covered in snow, but I did not care. I went back upstairs to my room. I popped this into my Genesis, and I played this the rest of the afternoon. It was totally worth the trip. NBA Jam is the game that I always fall back on as one of my favorites of all time. And if you ask me, if you were to put me in a corner and say, Pete, what is the one arcade game you would want in your house if you could have any arcade game ever? And the answer would always be this guy, NBA Jam. Always, always, always. From then on, Midway had a pretty big history with basketball games in the NBA, especially on the arcade side. We had NBA Jam Tournament Edition, then NBA Hang Time. There's a great version of Hang Time for the N64, by the way, in a game that I strongly recommend you picking up if you have access to a 64. Then came NBA Showtime, a game that was built kind of on the NFL Blitz graphics engine, so a lot smoother, different animations, played faster, but also implemented some new rules changes like fouls instead of just being able to push people down willy-nilly. So that was definitely interesting. I played a lot of that in arcades. But then that was it. Midway was more focused on home consoles at that point. And then we got our next game. And I'm actually games, I should say, because I have the first two games in this series that I'm going to open in this particular episode of Unsealed for you. Now, these aren't NBA Jam copycats. And these aren't NBA Street copycats. These are games that are one-on-one basketball games and are pretty interesting as a result. I am, of course, talking about the NBA Ballers series, the first of which was released in 2004 for the PS2. That is Stefan Marbury on the cover, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this game before I go ahead and open it up. Now, when I found out that Ballers was being developed by Jam Mastermind's Mark Turmel, I knew at that point I was going to buy the game no matter what the game was going to be like. Being a fan of Turmel's work, being a fan of Midway's arcade sports games, I knew that this was something I was going to buy. However, this plays fundamentally differently than any other arcade basketball game that Midway had published to date. No more do we have 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 matchups. This was very much a 1-on-1 deal. And at the same time, this game was implementing ideas that NBA Street put into practice, meaning street ball, performing tricks, performing ankle-breaking tricks, and getting points for those things. But at the same time, you're trying to get to a certain score, a certain basketball score in order to move on. This game also capitalized on the ritzy, glitzy life of NBA players, very much like an MTV Cribs style kind of game, where you got to know the players off the court. You got to check out where they lived. You got to check out the fancy cars. You got to live the life. And the story mode in this game, which is a first for a game like this, centered around you creating your own player and then trying to ascend to the top of basketball stardom, while at the same time trying to avoid the twists and turns of a TV series because, of course, TV executives never have your best interest at heart. So this is the front of the game right here. Sorry about the glare. I always run into that problem. That is, again, Steph Marbury on the front. And we turn around to the back just to show you that really quick. And the back says here, live the fantasy lifestyle of an NBA superstar. So that was the attraction here. If you want the fantasy lifestyle of an NBA superstar, NBA Ballers is your ticket to the top. Bask in all the bling success can bring. Cribs, chromed out cars, jets, and more. You'll have to flaunt your skills online, which is optional. or go one-on-one with over 60 current NBA superstars and 24 NBA legends who will be driving the lane and bombing Rainbow Jays to determine who's the greatest baller of all time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this open. And I don't think this will be an issue. There we go. You can hear the plastic popping there. This, by the way, does have the security seal. There you go. So we know that it is legit. And wow, that came off really quick. So put that there. And we'll take the security label off. We'll see what's on the inside, and we'll look at the manual a little bit, and then I'll talk a little bit more about my thoughts on the game. And I do have the next game in the series as well that I will talk about, although I don't have a lot of experience with that particular game. So let me just check it here. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so on the inside of the case, we have more Stephon Marbury. We have a manual with Steph on this side, and then we have the disc with his image on the right. When we take the instruction manual out, the instruction manual is 23 pages in length, has a bunch of credits at the end. There's also, and unfortunately this doesn't work anymore, a free kids admission to the Basketball Hall of Fame. The Basketball Hall of Fame, by the way, is one of the venues in the game. And one of the reasons that this game appealed to me because of that is because the NBA or the Basketball Hall of Fame is a 10-minute drive from where I live. I have not been there in a long time. I do need to make the time to go. I've been getting more into basketball games of late. So I would like to kind of check out the Hall of Fame and see what's there. Just don't ask me to shoot a basketball because in real life, I suck. But opening this up, there are several different modes of play. The TV tournament mode is the story mode that I was telling you about. And this is where you unlock NBA players, you win tournaments. And there are episodes of the series as well. So it plays out like a TV show, like a reality TV show. And yeah, reality TV, even back in 2004, was still a thing. Now, what's interesting here, I don't know whether the manual is going to show it because it breaks it down, but there's juice. So they use juice instead of turbo. There are trick buttons that you can, or you use the juice buttons in coordination with the face buttons to make the player do tricks on screen, and you can build up points that way. So that's, again, a nod to NBA Street. So you've got a bunch of defensive, offensive moves. There are some secrets in the game, just like any Midway sports game. That's just the way those kind of rolled. You could play the game online if you had a network adapter. You could customize your baller as well, so you could build your own. Of course, I always built myself, so the kind of chubby, short, bald-headed white guy, that was pretty much me, who could always shoot threes but could never dunk. And that's what I wish I could do in real life. I don't wish I could dunk. I'm only 5'7.5". That's just not happening. So I liked this game when it came out. I played quite a bit of it. I never finished it. It's something that I'd like to do when I get some time, but it's definitely different. It's not the same NBA Jam kind of experience. It's a unique kind of experience where you have to, because you're playing one-on-one against another player, and you're also going from you also have to deal with some like fouls. You have to deal with, much like you did with NBA Showtime. You can't just push players around. There's only so much turbo you have, and shots are a bit more realistic in this game. You're not always going to hit shots from anywhere on the floor when you're behind, or anywhere on the court when you're behind. You have to be smart about where you're shooting from. You have to improve your player attributes in order to get better. I always found that to be interesting. I think that it was kind of an offshoot of NBA Street. I think that Trammell and the development team used NBA Street kind of as a template, but at the same time added some of that Midway sports game flavor to it to make it its own game. And of course, the focus on the players, the lifestyle, the rich and the famous kind of thing, I thought was pretty interesting. The game doesn't cost that much to own. And it is something that is unique. Now, if you've played the NBA Jam games, you're not necessarily going to just slide right into this and understand it from the beginning. But the more that you play it and the more that you understand the moves and the balance of the game, the better off you'll be. And again, it is quite enjoyable, and I think the graphics hold up even 14 years later. I can't believe the game's 14 years old. So that's one game. Now, as a bonus, I want to show you the next game in the series. I picked this up from eBay, and I want to open it real quick. I don't have a lot of experience with this game, so I'm going to be reading the back here and looking a little bit at the manual. So if you've never heard of this or played it before, I'm going to be in the same boat with you. I'm really not sure what to expect. This here is the sequel. This is NBA Ballers Phenom. That's Chauncey Billups, by the way, on the cover. So no Stephon Marbury this time. This is Chauncey Billups. And yes, that is an Electronics Boutique sticker showing $39.99 for the game. The date is 4/6/2006. So that's kind of cool. So here's the back of the case. Again, sorry about the reflectivity there. Be the next phenom, it says here. Here it is, the NBA Finals in sunny Los Angeles, California. From scouts to coaches to casting directors, everyone is looking for the next phenom. You have 1 week to prove that you're the one. Take the trophy in unique tournaments, customize your looks, and check out the local scene. By the end of the week, become the #1 draft pick, or you can start your own entertainment empire. Have you got the skills to prove you belong at the top? So that's what's there. They show it in... They show you going to the streets of LA during the NBA Finals. So whereas the first Ballers game focused more on courts at the homes of different NBA players and, of course, at the Hall of Fame, this is more on location, which could be pretty interesting. Again, I haven't played it really, so I don't have a lot of information on it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the manual. And in order to get there, we have to open the game. Now, this being a 2006 game, they had gotten rid of the security seals by then, so that's okay. We'll just go ahead and we'll open this up. There we go. There we go. And we'll very carefully open the case. Now, this is another one of those games that not only comes with the game, but it also comes with a soundtrack disc. So the soundtrack disc is first. There we go. And then you get the game disc right behind it, just like that. There were some games, some sports games that came out with soundtracks. I believe that NBA Live 2004 or 2005 came with a soundtrack disc as well. So when we take a look at the instruction manual, this is shorter. This is only 16 pages in length. The last page is just for music credits. There is a warranty card there. I'm not going to go over this in this particular episode, though, as we're running a little bit long as it is. The modes of play here, 1-on-1. You can play 2-on-2, which is kind of cool, or a 1-on-1-on-1. There's a shootout challenge. They're talking about online play. And then the special story mode in this game is the Live the Dream mode, where you can live the dream of being an NBA baller. You can explore the neighborhoods of Los Angeles during the NBA Finals and attempt to carve out your legend as the next phenom. Every choice you make, every tournament you win, and everyone you meet will affect the outcome of your quest. So that's kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to checking that out. So there's more on the story here, or things that you can do. You can create a baller again, talks about your different attributes. You can design your own cribs. You can design your own place once you get the money to do so. And there's more stuff here. I can't wait to try this. I have had this sealed for quite a while, but it really didn't make sense to open a basketball game early for two reasons. One, I knew that I was going to be doing a show just before Retro World Expo and talking about Midway. And the other is the release of NBA 2K19 and NBA Live 19 is like right around the corner, so it made sense to go ahead and open a couple of basketball games brand new, and I thought, why not do these? So I don't have a lot of information on NBA Street Phenom or NBA Ballers Phenom. I keep screwing up the names. But I will look forward to playing it, and when I do get some impressions, I'll either make a video talking about it or I'll put them up on Twitter and we can share them. My Twitter handle, by the way, is @PeteSkerritt, so @PeteSkerritt. I am probably on there more than I should be, but you can go ahead and interact with me that way. I'd love to hear from you. Or you can leave a comment below. Tell me whether you have any experience with the NBA Ballers series. Have you played any of these games? What do you think of them? Did you know that Mark Turmel had anything to do with them? I'd love to hear your take or takes on those. And I'm going to look forward to playing these more in my downtime once the expo is over and I've got some free time on my hands. As always, I thank you very much for checking out these Unsealed episodes. Remember, we have a ton of them on the Unsealed playlist, so if you've missed out on any, you can catch up on them all on the playlist and see exactly what games that I've opened over the last few months. Thanks as always for watching, and until the next time, everybody, see you later.